no right or wrong in that. The most important things you can bring to your business: work ethic. Work ethic. That's important. People ask me all the time, Brandon, how many hours should I put in my business? Well, what? I don't understand the question. That's a trick question to me. And they say, I'm busy. I have a job. No, I have 2 jobs. I have a family. I have kids. I got 5 different affiliate programs I'm running right now. You know, I'm trying to get my hustle on. And I believe in multiple streams of income, but I don't have time. Here's what I say to that. When I started this business, I had a full-time job. I went from 6 to 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's right. Come home. Spend time with the family. I try to. Because on the East Coast, it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So they've already had dinner with the family. They've already, relaxed. And now they're calling me for 3-way calls and presentations. So it's still early my time. So I have to give them that time right when I get home. And then finally when they go to sleep, I have to give attention to my wife and eat dinner at 10, 11 o'clock my time. That's 1 to 2 a.m. East Coast. And then once I do that and my wife falls asleep, then I got to go to work building my business. And I wouldn't go to sleep to 3 a.m. And then I'm up at 6 a.m. And I do it all over again. And I did this for 40-something days straight. 3 hours sleep. 60 days, I was making more money in my business than I was on my job. I sacrificed to make that happen. Come hell or high water, that is what was going to happen. I didn't care who said no. That was my desire. That's the next one. I had a burning desire. Burning desire. I was willing to be uncomfortable. You ever heard the story about the kids who walk across this old man's farm every day, and the old man had an old dog that laid on the porch, and the dog was always moaning and crying, and the kids say, farmer, why is that dog always moaning and crying every time we come by here? And the farmer says, because he's laying on a nail. And puzzled look on their face, well, why doesn't he just get up off the nail and move a couple of inches to the left? And the farmer said, because it doesn't hurt bad enough. It didn't hurt bad. For most of you, it doesn't hurt bad enough. You're content with where you are. You're comfortable with where you are. You may not like it. You might wish for more, but you're comfortable where you are. Are you willing to be uncomfortable? Are you willing to do things you've never done before so that you can have things you've never had before? Are you willing to have people say no to you? To have people make fun of you? To have people tell you it's not going to work? Not only do they say no, they're going to tell you why it's not going to work themselves. Are you willing to go through that? Or will you confirm and get right back in line with everybody else? When they say know your role. What is your desire level? What is your commitment level? Are you committed? What's the definition of commitment? Doing what you say you're going to do long after the feeling has left you. Yeah, you might be on our webinar last night and you're all excited. You got on our training tonight. Wow, this is information I've never heard before. I want to implement this in my life. 2 weeks later, the excitement starts to die down a little bit because you actually have to work. And it's not easy. And you're like, oh man, this is harder than I thought it was. People keep saying no to me. I don't understand. I'm saying the same thing they taught, but they're still saying no to me. Remember where your personal development level is. Your success rate lets you know. It's your measuring stick. And then you're like, this is too hard. I give up. See, a lot of people date the business. You're in the dating period. You're the courting period. The lust period. Vitel looks sexy. You like the way she walks. You like the way she moves. You like the way they flash to pay your bills and wink at you, right? It's a good look. But then after a while, Vital starts to look the same, right? You start to get used to it a bit. It's not exciting anymore. And then you start to notice this brand new skirt sashaying right down the street that you never saw before. And it starts to look sexy. It starts to look enticing. You gotta have it. And you jump ship and you go to the next skirt that's around the corner. The grass is always greener somewhere else. And you keep doing that over and over and over again. You have no commitment. You're dating the business. You must marry the business. You guys still breathing out there? You must marry the business. You must be committed to go through it in good and bad times. Because I'm going to guarantee you one thing. You will have good and you will have not so good times. That is a fact. Of course, I know you're going to be here during the good times. But what is your commitment level when times aren't so great? Will you still be here, or will you use that as an opportunity and an excuse to jump ship? Be coachable. I wasn't coachable when I first joined network marketing. I wasn't. I wanted to do things my way, and I failed miserably to the point where I contemplated quitting. I said, I'm not going through all this. But then I decided, my ego got in the way. My ego would not allow me to quit and always have that thought in the back of my head that there's other people in the system that I know I was much better than, and they're succeeding, and I quit. There was no way that was going to happen. That was the only thing that kept me from quitting, was my stupid ego. And I decided, let me be coachable and actually do what they tell me to do. And the moment I did that, I hit the first position in the company within 1 week. And then just blew up from that point forward. I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I was having this talk with Lou earlier today. People always, we tell them something, and they always think, well, I'm smart. I'm going to think of a better way. Right? I'm gonna make up something that nobody ever thought of before, and I'm really going to be a millionaire. If things your way worked, you would already be a millionaire. Follow the system and be excited doing so. We already talked about excitement. Emotional roller coaster. Go and get the book, Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell. Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell. That will put you 6 months to a year ahead of the curve. And why is that so important? Well, the biggest thing that I got out of that book is the emotional roller coaster. Meaning that one day you're going to be up and the next day you're going to be down. So when you're up and down, you watch how you handle yourself. You don't get too excited when things are great, and you don't get too upset when things don't go your way. Always know that some will, some won't, some wait, so what? Next. You may have a situation where you got started and you're on cloud 9 right now because you're starting to think of all your dreams that's going to come true. And then you sign somebody up in the business and they blow up. They call you up and say, hey, I see Penny type something. I'm going to use her as an example. Hey, Penny, you can quit. Stop what you're doing right now because you're going to be a millionaire just off of me alone. And then Penny gets excited. Wow, I have a superstar on my team. My dreams are coming to a reality. She's all excited about it, starting to think about what she's going to do with that money. And then all of a sudden the next week, that person quits. Not only do they quit, they take everybody with them. Now Penny went from a super high to a super low. That's the emotional roller coaster. And it's in those lows that you get challenged. Wow, I just lost my entire organization. I guess I just better go quit now. It didn't work. Right? That thought does cross your mind. And it happens to people all the time. This has happened to me time and time and time again. And I learned something, and I'm going to talk about it a little later. The most important recruit you will ever have, the number one superstar you will always have on your team, is you. Nobody else. And I've been challenged on this before, and I was just challenged on this week. That's why this mindset training was important to me. It's not every day you lose not one, but two regional vice presidents on your team. Now, if this was the old me before my personal development, I might have a freaking heart attack. I might have a panic attack. But since it's not, I didn't lose one night's sleep. I didn't have one panic attack. Remember your mindset. Whatever your mindset is at is what you attract. In the midst of two regional vice presidents leaving, my business also had the greatest production it's had in 3 months. We signed up over 120 people in a week and a half. Wow. Are you kidding me? In the midst of losing two regional vice presidents. And so people ask, what happened? Why did they leave if they're RVPs? Here's one thing you must always understand. The business does not begin until you hit RVP. That's not where it ends. You don't stop working when you hit RVP. To make the type of consistent income that you need to have, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 years commitment. So I don't care if you're an RVP or a team leader, you haven't been in long enough to get the results that you want to have. And I don't care what excuse you use, whether it's you don't feel you're making enough money, or you don't feel the company is doing what it's supposed to do, or you have every other excuse in the book other than maybe I should just put my head down and go to work. Because here's the bottom line. I go through the same exact experiences as everybody else, including my other RVPs. I choose to handle it differently. So there is no right or wrong in a reason why an RVP would leave. And I promise you, the reasons why they left is not what they're saying publicly. I promise you that. I know the real reasons. And that's their own personal business. It's nobody else's business. What they do has no impact on what you do. If it does, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I a leader or am I a follower? If the actions of somebody else impact you, are you a leader or are you a follower? It's a tough question to ask yourself. Because here's the deal. When I joined this business, and I have said this since day one, I am not here for where the company is today. I am here for where I see the company going tomorrow. I said last year, this company will have its feet under it and moving at an incredible rate around January 2014. Wow. I said this in 2012. We're not even in 2014 yet. And I followed it up by saying, the people who are still here before that are going to benefit the most. And I also said, I expect at the time, this was September or August of last year when I said this, I expect to lose 80% of the people who are currently in the system right now. I expect it to happen. So losing an RVP, as shocking as it may be to some, is expected in my eyes. So I don't lose sleep over it. You know what I do? I go and build another one, because the most important recruit is you. You are the superstar. They are responsible for their business. You are responsible for yours. So this is a learning lesson, and I'm glad to be able to use it, even if I have to be the example. It's not every day you lose your top 2 people. So what? Next. And here's another word of advice. And I love that this is what Chris McCoy had posted up. Martin Luther King Jr., my Morehouse brother, said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. You want to see the real character of a man? You see the character of a man when he's going through trials and tribulation. You see what he's really about. When you can have a person say one thing one day and then say something completely different another day. You see the measurement and the character of a man. It's not in what you say, it's in what you do. If the day were to ever come where I have to part ways with my company, I promise you there is no walking out of the room and throwing a pipe bomb in so that all of you can sit there and smell the stink. My decision is my decision alone and has no bearing on what you should do for yourself. It is not my right or my job to try to soil the waters for everybody else because it didn't work for me. I am not your Savior, Jesus Christ is, nor am I his messenger on what you should be doing. I would keep my mouth shut. Nor would I ever use the name of God to justify my decision as if I wasn't following him all up until this point. Some people have a lot of personal development to still go through. It is not in what you do. It's in how you do it. Then I like this quote here. Sometimes problems don't require a solution to solve them. Instead, they require maturity to outgrow them. When I saw that for the first time, I think Boyd put that up on my Facebook page. I was like, wow. Let me say that again. Sometimes problems don't require a solution to solve them. Men. Because they may not be solvable. Instead, they require maturity to outgrow them. Growing grass always covers the mud. The greatest revenge is massive success. You don't think I have more fuel in the fire behind my tank right now to make sure that Vitel is going to be a $100 million company? And the people in Vitel is going to make far more money. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a story, okay? And I'm going to keep it on this page because I want this quote to sink in. When I was in Dallas, Texas, and I always go back to that because that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Why? It's not every day you get to sit in a room full of hundreds of people worth over $10 billion. That doesn't happen every day. The energy in the room is different. The conversations are different. Do you think that the conversation might be different between two people who earn $50,000 a year as compared to two people who earn $50,000 a week? Do you think the conversation's different? The only thing that really took me aback, but I expected it, was the egos that were in the room. I mean, you think my ego's big? Oh my goodness, Darren Hardy. Oh wow, that was a shocker. But it's earned. You can't tell him nothing. You got $500 million in the bank. What do you got to say to me? But I listened to them. And one thing that I heard that was a theme over and over and over again is that nobody had a smooth ride. Nothing went according to plan. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. If you ever heard of a gentleman named Greg Provenzano, President and CEO of ACN. I love listening to him speak. And he talked about a scary moment in the early days of ACN, 94, 95, or 95, 96, before I was part of it. And one gentleman represented about 60% of the company. And this gentleman just would not act right. And he didn't act right because he knew he represented 60% of the company, and he knew the company wasn't going to do nothing to him. So he kept doing his own things, a lot of things immoral. How about this? Making sure that some of your top team leaders got terminated before they hit RVP so that you wouldn't lose out on any money. Oh yeah, he was doing these things and far more. And every couple of months, they'd rein them in. They call them in. Hey, listen, you can't do that. We have policies and procedures. Oh, yeah, okay. And he'd be good for another 2 or 3 months, and they go right back to it again. And it got to the point where it was starting to affect the other 40% of the business. So he had to make a decision. I either terminate this person and risk losing 60% of the company, or I keep him around and end up poisoning 100% of the company. And he was scared to death. And he said, I have to do what's best for the company and the other reps. And got rid of the bum. And it wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to be. Yeah, he lost people. Yeah, the company took a hit. But they rebounded almost overnight. That's why I think it's funny that we lose 2 RVPs and we still have the biggest week that we've had all year. Why'd that happen? And then he talked about another time in ACN's history, and this is when I was a part of the company. I experienced this. They had to implement credit check when signing up customers. A huge population of the regional vice presidents screamed and said, absolutely not. You will destroy our business if you require credit checks on our customers, because our people, obviously, most of them don't have good credit. So we're not going to be able to sign up customers. Do not do this. But Greg said our attorneys are saying this is something we must do for the financial long-term stability of the company, or we won't have a company anymore. The RVPs could care less. All they looked at was their bottom line right now and what was going to affect them. And it wasn't their job to look after the company. Everybody always looks after their own best interest. So Greg had a choice. Do I follow what the attorneys say, or do I listen to my RVPs? He said, I'm going to save the company. The moment he made that decision, he lost almost over 50 regional vice presidents overnight. 50. Can you imagine all of your top leaders bailing on you overnight in unison like a protest? I remember the phone call my upline RVP had talking about, oh yeah, I know last week we was talking about going to the convention, but this week we're not in the company anymore. What? Hey, that sounds familiar for some of you guys, huh? Didn't your upline just do that? Say one thing one moment and then 4 days later all of a sudden do a complete 360 with no warning or reason as to why? When come out with one video saying one thing, how much I'm making, and then come out with another video saying something completely different? You ever wonder why? And this is what happened. They all bailed. Where do you think 5 Links got started? Jumped to 5 Links, YTB, Mona V, Tahitian Oni, went all over the place. Did the company fail and go out of business? It looked like it was. No. Look where it is today. They just celebrated their 20-year anniversary, bigger than ever. Offices in 15 countries. I look at the company Organo Gold. You guys heard of that one? 5 of the top 10 money earners in the world in network marketing are all in Organo Gold. You can't say nothing bad about that company. Obviously, they're doing something right, and it's attractive. It's obviously attractive to some of our own leaders. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. They offered me a chance to go over there. I turned it down for my own personal reasons. And just because I turned it down for me doesn't mean it's bad for somebody else. It's just my own personal decision. And it's their personal decision why they want to go over there. But let me tell you a little about Organo Gold. See, in the beginning, they got started because people defected from Gano Excel. Bernie Chow, Shane Moran, and Jay Noland. And they started a company called OG Organo Gold. They didn't have an office until they had made $20 million. They were working out of their home. Jay Noland and his wife were acting as corporate staff answering phones before they blew up. They had many customer service problems and issues. And then a gentleman by the name of Holton Buggs, the #1 money earner in the world, over $1 million a month. Can you imagine earning $1 million a month? And he did that in 4 years or 3 years. But when people bailed from YTB, he went to Organo Gold. And nobody wanted to follow him over there. I think one of his major leaders did. And he just made it happen. He didn't care what anybody else had to say. He didn't care about, oh, Organo Gold is still new right now and they're having problems. He looked at where the company is going to be, where the company is going to be tomorrow, not where it is today. He is one of my major mentors right now, and I've never spoken nor met the man, and I never have to. You can admire from afar. You never know who's watching you. You never know. He could probably care less who I am, and I can care less that he doesn't know who I am. But I admire what he's done. And he joined Organo Gold and started to blow up. Caused friction between Jay Noland and the crew. So Jay Noland decides he wanted to start his own coffee company. But to do so, you need to have people, right? Now, I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth as far as what motive is. I'm only going to talk about facts. Jay Noland decided to have an emergency call. Have we seen those before? Emergency hangout time. An emergency call. He had over, I don't know, 2,000 people on the call. Organo Gold people. And he spent the next 2 hours ripping the integrity and the character of Bernie Chow, Shane Moran, and Holton Buggs. He talked bad. He dragged their names through the mud. And he input the word of God all through that call. And the call, it's a famous call. You know, I wasn't on the call. I heard the recording of it like last year. It's an interesting call to listen to. Whenever you hear about guys that are able to kind of have influence over people and move people one way or another, he's a master at it. I give it that. When you listen to him, you think that everything he's saying is 100% true and logical. It makes sense. But then I always go back to, if you have to sit here and denigrate and rip another person to make yourself look good, I don't care what the issue is, you're not credible. You're not. As far as my 2 regional vice presidents leaving, I wish them the best at anything that they do. Wish them the best. No need to denigrate. No need to call names. No need to call anybody out. No need to all of a sudden speak my mind and tell you how I really feel after I looked you in my eye just a week ago and said everything was cool. The character of men really show when things go wrong or not according to plan. But what happened to Organo Gold? That seemed to be the end, right? All these people are going to follow Jay Noland into his new coffee company. No. Organo Gold goes on to be one of the most dominant businesses in the world today. It survived. And so will Vitel. So I hope you guys learned a lesson from that story. Now let's move on. Let's talk about personality traits. And personality traits is very, very important. Why? Because when you talk to people out there, most people are going to fall within these 4 personality traits. Shark, whale, dolphin, and urchin. Shark, whale, dolphin, and urchin. If you know these personality traits, you know how to talk to people. Here's an example of a shark. A shark is driven by money and respect. Money and respect. So when you talk to a shark about business, they're motivated by, hey, how much money can I make? $100,000 a month in Vitel? I'm in. What? I can be a superstar? I'm in. They wear the black suits. They have big egos. When they walk into a room, they want everybody to know that they're there. These are sharks. And if you know any sharks, or if you're a shark, type their name in the chat box. Then you have whales. Whales are almost the opposite. Whales are motivated by helping people. When you talk to them, ask people questions. What do you do for a living? 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to tell their personality trait just by what they do for a living. Whales want to help people. You know, they might be very involved in the church, non-profit, charities, maybe doctors, nurses, teachers. These are whales. You cannot go to a whale talking about how much money you can make in Vitel. They're going to be turned off by it. But if you tell them, we have a program in place that's going to help people eliminate their bills. Really? You get their attention. A shark can care less about that stuff. The only reason a shark cares about paying people's bills is that they know they're going to have other people on their team that aren't sharks and that they'll like that stuff. That does not motivate a shark. Dolphins. Dolphins just want to have fun. They just want to have fun. My sister was a dolphin. When I joined ACN back in the day, I came home from college. My sister was 18 or 17, I don't remember at the time. And I got dressed, and we didn't have webinars back then. If you wanted to go to see a presentation, you actually had to go to a live meeting. And out here in LA, the meeting was an hour and a half away from where I lived. And I had to get in rush hour traffic. So I got dressed, and my sister was like, well, where are you going? I'm going to a meeting, business meeting. She was bored. Can I come? Get dressed. Let's go. So she comes with me. And we walk into, it was the West End Hotel on Century Boulevard in LA. Stadium seating room. I love that hotel and that location. I'm going to do an event there. And music is playing. Everybody's dressed up and smiling. You immediately notice the atmosphere change when you walk into the room. It's positive vibe. My sister was very sensitive to that stuff. She picks it up on, she was always saying that person has a good vibe, that person has a bad vibe. She was sensitive to that. And she picked up on that right away when we walked in the room. They're hugging each other, shaking hands, patting each other on the back. All she saw was a bunch of men dressed up, suited and booted, looking good, talking about making money, and traveling to Atlanta, Georgia for a convention. That's all she saw. She didn't even hear the name of the company, and all she said was, where do I sign up? That's all she wanted to do, was have fun. And she would go to the conventions, not because she's going to learn how to build her business, but because she gets to hang out and have fun and get away from home. That's what motivated her. Then you have the urchins. And God, I can't stand the urchins. Not that I don't like them, but they take up most of my time. 90% of my time during the day is spent answering 1,000,001 irrelevant questions to urchins. Now, understand when I qualify that. Irrelevant to me, but very relevant to urchins. Because urchins need to know all of the facts. It's like it's against their genes to move a muscle until they understand how everything works. That's not how I operate. I operate by figuring things out as they go. I'm the type of guy, when I get a new toy and the instructions booklet is there, it's the first thing that gets tossed out. It irks my wife every time I do that. I remember when we had our crib when my son was born, and I remember opening it up, and I didn't want to pay the extra, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks so that they can come and install it for you. What? I'm not paying 15. I'll install it myself. I wish I did. But I open up the box, and this detailed instruction book that comes out, I just tossed that sucker over my head and tried to figure it out as I went. And I messed it up. I had to tear the whole thing down and then restart over. Had I followed the instructions, I would have got it. But that's how I operate. I made over $10,000 a month before I knew how Vital actually worked. But urchins can't do that. It's like they're shooting blind doing it that way. In fact, how you expect me to talk to people if I don't even know what's going on? That makes me look like an idiot. I'm a professional. I need to know the facts. The only bad thing about that mindset is, for some urchins, it takes them forever to finally understand everything. I have one urchin on my team under Francis Krebs' group out here in California named Ricky Garcia. Ricky Garcia. Great guy. He spent 5 months coming out to all of my presentations, and he came every single week. And every week I'm like, are you signing up? Nah, soon, I'll sign up soon. Every week I asked him that question. 5 months. He finally got into business. And guess what's happening to his business? He is exploding right now. Exploding. And one thing that's good about urchins end up making more money than everybody else. Oh no, Ricky's on the line. I see Ricky says, yes, I did. Rick's on the line right now, so he just verified that. He came every single week. But urchins end up making the most money. And you want to know why? Because they turn into sharks. Because now that they know all of the facts, nobody can tell them otherwise. Nobody could tell them that it doesn't work, or it doesn't make sense. They figured it out. And then when another opportunity comes their way, guess what? It's going to take them 5 months to decide if they want to join that one. And they're not, because they're already committed to this one. So urchins end up staying in the business longer than everybody else, and they end up making the most money over everybody else. Sharks, whales, and dolphins will jump ship quicker than anything else. You show a shark money, oh man, OG's making how much money over there? I got to go to OG. A whale, another company comes out with a better health product, that's where they're going. A dolphin, ooh, that company's got a new social media, ooh. CeeLo Green's dancing on stage, I like the color purple. Dolphins are gone. But urchins are the last to jump ship anywhere. They're committed. And you must know these personality traits so you know what to do when you're talking to somebody. So when you're talking to somebody about the business, listen more than you speak. Ask them, what do you do for a living? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? They will tell you their personality trait, and now you know what to talk to them about. You can also know this for edification purposes. If you got to do a 3-way call, and you need to edify the upline leader because the person that you're talking to has no idea who this other guy is that you're going to put them on the phone with. They are who you say they are. And if you don't know much, because people say, well, I don't know much about Brandon Ivey. I don't know him. If you master this trait on edification, and I need to do another training on just edification. I was talking to Scott Compton about that. But this is all you need to do. Well, Brandon Ivey, he's making a whole lot of money. He loves to help people. He's having a whole lot of fun. And he knows 100% of the facts. You just edified me. And you can edify the dog if you want to, if you follow those steps. You don't even need to know the background of the person. If you cover each of those, you just covered every single person in the room and their personality traits. Lou Smith is making a lot of money. She's helping a whole lot of people. Lou loves to have fun. You should have seen her in Atlanta. And she knows all of the facts. You just covered all of the bases without needing to know the background of the person. Positives up, negatives down. Important. If you're excited about something, you want to be positive about it and express that positivity to your upline. To your downline. If you're negative about something, you don't express that to your downline, but you keep that down. You don't show it to anybody. One thing, don't let people see you sweat. And I've been guilty of almost breaking that a couple times. But just be positive to your team and your organization. Because sometimes they're going through things in life, and you can be their safety net, their lifeboat. They see that you, as a beacon, is making things happen, and that gives them hope. But also because of this. Remember what we said at the very beginning, mindset. What you feed your brain is what you're going to attract. And for those who still don't get it, I'm going to use an example here that every single one of you will understand. Have you ever met a woman who has always been in a bad, abusive relationship? Have you ever met a woman who has always been in a bad, abusive relationship? Somebody a couple weeks ago said I need to stop talking about women. Next time I'll use the men as an example in this one. But I'm going to use the woman. And every boyfriend she has seems to be the same exact guy with a different name. You guys ever experienced that before? Some of you say, oh, that's me. I'm always in a bad relationship. And a friend says, maybe you should go see a psychologist or something, because you keep attracting all these bad guys to you. Maybe we need to fix you. So she goes to the psychologist and tells her the problem. And the psychologist says, well, let me ask you a question. Tell me what it is that you want in a man. And you know what her response is? Well, I don't want a man who stays out late. I don't want a man who drinks and drives. I don't want a man who cheats on me all the time with his buddies. I don't want a man who disrespects me when he comes home in front of my own kids. I don't want a man who physically and verbally abuses me. I don't want a man who does drugs, cheats, lies, and steals. Now, doesn't that seem logical? Of course she doesn't want a man like that. But that's not what the psychologist asked. The psychologist asked, what do you want in a man? Not what do you don't want. See, no wonder why she's attracting these type of guys, because that's all she's thinking about. The universe doesn't understand negative. All she's thinking about is cheat on me, lie, cheat, and steal, treat me bad, abuse me, physically and verbally. And guess what? That's what she continues to attract to herself. If she switches her thinking to, I want a man who treats me well. I want a man who makes me smile, who makes me feel good about myself. I want a man who loves me, who cherishes me, who loves my children. I want a man who makes me the center of his universe. What do you think she's going to attract to herself? That type of man. Because even if she has the other thinking and the good man comes up to her, the vibe she's putting off, that's not what she wants. The good guy gets pushed away because that's not what she wants. She wants the man who's treating her bad because that's what she's thinking about. Does this make sense? Because the same works in your business. If all you're thinking about is, can I afford my business next month? I can't sign any good people up in the business. People on my team are quitting. What do you think is going to continue to happen to you? You're not attracting the superstars to you. Which leads into this. You must see yourself as an RVP. Perception becomes reality. I hear people say all the time, Brandon, I'm impressed by how you speak and what you say. Wow, no wonder why you're an RVP. Guess what? I didn't start talking this way when I hit RVP. I was talking this way the day I signed up in the business, and that's why I'm an RVP. Do you understand the difference? Does the chicken come before the egg type argument? You must be before you can become. You must act as if, not fake it till you make it. You can't put up fake checks. That's faking it. You can't talk about a fake lifestyle. That's faking it. But you can act as if you're a multi-millionaire. When I walked in that room in Dallas, I remember telling Jairus, I said, Jairus, because we were a little intimidated at first. I said, Jairus, when we walk in there, we're going to walk in there like we own the room. That's exactly what I did. And you know what's interesting? When you act like that, people come up to you because they feel that energy off you and they want to know who you are. I saw a couple of people that were kind of timid. And nobody talked to them. Nobody approached them. But if you walk in there like, okay, the party can start because I'm here, you start attracting people to you. Act as if. If you want to sign up good people on your team, people want to sign up with leaders, not with losers. So if you act like you're only a marketing rep, or you act like you're only a team leader, or whatever low position of your company, if you act as if you can't afford the monthly fee in the business, you're not going to grow your business. I hope you guys are catching this here. This is a law. It is not my opinion, because I didn't figure this out for 10 years. I was doing it wrong. If you act like the monthly fee is your obstacle, you will only attract people whose monthly fee will also be an obstacle in their life. And your business will not grow. Here's another gut check moment. Walk into the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, and ask yourself this question. Would I sign up with you? And point at yourself. See, you can lie and fake it to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. And if you do lie to yourself, you are in a very bad situation. If you're lying to yourself. And I remember I looked in the mirror and I looked at myself and I asked, would I sign up with you? The answer was no, and that was hard. That was a hard thing to admit. That was a very hard thing to admit. But once you admit to yourself that is, you ask yourself this next question. Why would I not sign up with you? Now you know what you need to work on. See, internet marketers avoid this because they're so good at internet marketing that it's like the shotgun approach. They just recruit a whole bunch of people and see who sticks. So when you see people fall out of a company like this, even RVPs, they have a much easier time building in a different way. And there's nothing wrong with that. They just have an easier time building this way. You don't really have to have that one-on-one contact with people that might set you back in a traditional network marketing company. You don't have to deal with people. There's so many people out there. Who cares if somebody quits? You can easily replace them. Not in this business. You want to have long-term stability in this business, you need to learn how to develop relationships. You need to learn how to develop people. It's not all about creating a system. It's about creating a relationship. And this is the only time I will share this, and I will say this. The only thing that I'm hurt about the most is how an individual can look me in my eye, spend a week with me, thinking we're developing a relationship, and then talk so bad about you 4 days later as if you were their worst enemy, and simply not care. I think that's probably the only thing that had me thinking. Not the fact that somebody leaves, that somebody can really have that type of a personality and act that way. Because it's foreign to me. I can never do that. I'm always 100% real with everybody. I tell you how it is to your face. Not when things go bad, all of a sudden the truth comes out. Right? It's easy to do that behind a computer. But you have to be able to develop relationships with people. And once you start to work on yourself, the traits that you need to become the superstar, then you're going to start to attract that type of a person to you. You guys understand that? You will start to attract the people you want by becoming the person you want. You want a superstar on your team? Become the superstar on your team. Somebody asked me, Brandon, is it all over because you lost 2 of your regional vice presidents? Are you mooching off of them? You must have lost your mind. The number 1 recruit on my team will always be me. And that's not an egotistical thing to say. That is how you must believe, so now you will attract those type of people to you. Game is not over because somebody else quit. I never put my life in the hands of somebody else. Never. The most reliable hand will be the one at the end of your own wrist. Always. Remember that. People will let you down because your best interest is not their best interest. It's not their job to look after you. It's their job to look after themselves and their family. And they make a decision that they feel is best for their family. You can't fault them for that. You don't know what's best in their family. You don't know what they're going through in their lives. Just because they're an RVP doesn't mean everything may be great. You have no idea what they're going through. Let them be. That's their business. It's not your business. You let them go, and next. Who's next? So you become the type of person you want to attract. And watch your business explode. I signed up personally 7 people over the last 5 days. 7 Diamond Power Pack members by myself. Growing grass always covers up the mud. So with that, guys, I think we're at the end. Is that the last slide? Yeah. It was my pleasure of giving this mindset training. This is recorded. Since it is 2 hours long, and thank you guys for taking 2 hours out of your night to hear this information, to hear me rant and rave and talk. I hope you're able to get some learning things out of this. The reason why I recorded it is because, we only retain 20% of what we hear. And when you listen to something, sometimes you got to listen to it again, and you'll pick up something that you might have missed. And that's what I do. You know how I learn? I record myself saying something, and then I listen to it over, and your brain is able to internalize things easier when it hears your own voice, because you think in your own voice, not somebody else's voice. So by listening to your own voice back is like you're listening to yourself think. That's a trick. That's why I recorded myself reading what was that book? The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. I record myself saying these things, so I go back to listen to myself. My wife thinks it's funny and it's strange. She says, "You must really be in love with yourself." Well, yeah, but there's a scientific reason why I do that. So you guys can always go back and listen to this over and over again. A couple of books that you want to get, and these are the things that I had my aha moment that really changed my life over the past couple of years, my business life, was Your Wish is Your Command by Kevin Trudeau. It's an audio series. I've listened to that about 30 times now. Also, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. The number one thing that I took from that is success is not in doing certain things. It's in doing things in a certain way. That makes all the difference. It's the difference between earning $2,000 a month and $200,000 a month. You're doing things in a certain way. Also, not just Think and Grow Rich, but The Law of Success in 16 Lessons by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich is nothing but a preview. I know a lot of you have been seeing the preview of the new Man of Steel movie, right? The Superman movie. Does the preview tell the whole movie? No, it's just a preview. Same thing. Think and Grow Rich is just a preview. Why is it a preview? Because Henry Ford and all the other billionaires of that day, the moment that Napoleon Hill released Think and Grow Rich, pulled it from the shelves. Because of primarily he was telling all the secrets of becoming successful and rich. See, don't get it twisted when people tell you you got to be born the right blood type. That's not true. The only true statement in that is you got to be born the right blood type or family to gain access to this knowledge, because they've been passing this stuff down from generation to generation, and they don't teach outsiders. And here you have Napoleon Hill spilling the beans to the world. And he used two main words in that book, that reason why I got pulled the first time. Vibration. Vibration. And emotion. Those two words is what got him in trouble. And he had to pull the book and revise it 2 or 3 times before they released it again. But he did do another one that was released later that tells the whole story, where all the secret and Rhonda Byrne and all that stuff all comes to be. The secret. The secret is you can be and become whatever you desire by the power of your thoughts. Whatever you want. But there's a lot more to that. It's not you just going to sit there and meditate all day. You have to put actions behind your words. It's important. But anyways, I'm running out of time because I got to put this in a recording. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. My name is Brandon Ivey, Regional Vice President of Vitel and Vice President of Niche and Marketing and whatever else I want to call myself. See you next time. God bless. And good night. I have a video that I'm going to play.
So you want to get a degree. Why? Let me tell you what society will tell you. It increases your chances of getting a job, provides you with an opportunity to be successful. Your life will be a lot less stressful. Education is the key. Now let me tell you what your parents will tell you. Make me proud. It increases your chances of getting a job, provides you with an opportunity to be successful. Your life will be a lot less stressful. Education is the key. Now let's look at the statistics. Steve Jobs, net worth 7 billion, RIP. Richard Branson, net worth 4.2 billion. Oprah Winfrey, net worth 2.7 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, Henry Ford, Steven Spielberg, Bill Gates. Now here comes the coup de grace. Looking at these individuals, what's your conclusion? Neither of them, in being successful, ever graduated from a higher learning institution. Now some of you will protest like, money is only the medium by which one measures worldly success. And some of you even have the nerve to say, I don't do it for the money. So what are you studying for? To work for a charity? Need more clarity? Let's look at the statistics. Jesus, Muhammad, peace be upon him, Socrates, Malcolm X, Mother Teresa, Spielberg, Shakespeare, Beethoven, Jesse Owens, Muhammad Ali, Sean Carter, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Michael Joseph Jackson. Were either of these people unsuccessful or uneducated? All I'm saying is that if there was a family tree, hard work and education would be related, but school would probably be a distant cousin. Because if education is the key, then school is the lock. Because it rarely ever develops your mind to the point where it can perceive red as green and continue to go when someone else said stop. Because as long as you follow the rules and pass the exams, you're cool. But are you aware that examiners have a checklist? And if your answer is something outside of the box, the automatic response is a cross. And then they claim that school expands your horizons and your visions. Well, tell that to Malcolm X, who dropped out of school and is well renowned for what he learned in a prison. Proverbs 17:16. It does a fool no good to spend money on education. Why? Because he has no common sense. George Bush. Need I say more? Education is about inspiring one's mind, not just filling their head. And take this from me, because I'm an educated man myself, who only came to this realization after countless nights in the library, with a can of Red Bull keeping me awake till dawn and another can in the morn, falling asleep in between piles of books which probably equated to the same amount I had spent on my rent, memorize equation, facts and dates right down to the letter, half of which I'd never remember and half of which I'd forget straight after the exam and before the start of the next semester, asking anyone if they had notes for the last lecture. I often found myself running to class just so I could find a spot on which I could rest my head and fall asleep without making a scene. Ironic, because that's the only time I ever spent in university chasing my dreams. And then after nights with a dead mind, I then find myself in a queue of half-awake student zombies waiting to hand in an assignment. Maybe that's why they called it a deadline. And then after 3 years of mental suppression and frustration, my proud mother didn't even turn up to my graduation. Now, I'm not saying that school is evil and there's nothing to gain, but all I'm saying is understand your motives and reassess your aims. Because if you want a job working for someone else, then help yourself. But then that would be a contradiction, because you wouldn't really be helping yourself, you'd be helping somebody else. There's a saying which says, if you don't build your dream, someone else will hire you to help build theirs. Redefine how you view education. Understand its true meaning. Education is not just about regurgitating facts from a book or someone else's opinion on a subject to pass an exam. Look at it. Picasso was educated in creating art. Shakespeare was educated in the art of all that was written. Colonel Harlan Sanders was educated in the art of creating Kentucky Fried Chicken. I once saw David Beckham take a free kick. I watched as the side of his Adidas sponsored boot hit the patent level of the ball at an angle which caused it to travel towards the skies as though it was destined for the heavens. And then as it reached the peak of its momentum, as though it changed its mind, it switched directions. I watched as the goalkeeper froze, as though reciting to himself the laws of physics, and as though his brain was negotiating with his eyes that it was indeed witnessing the spectacle of the leather swan that was swooping towards it, and then reacting. But only a fraction of a millisecond too late. And before the net of the goal embraced the FIFA-sponsored ball as though it was the prodigal son returning home, and the country that I live in erupted into cheers, I looked at the play and thought, damn, looking at David Beckham, there's more than one way in this world to be an educated man.